Hi everyone. Well, welcome to another episode of Nerdy Dads. Got MJ here. We've got a very interesting and niche topic today, actually, because as you saw in the intro video previously, that MJ is really into tech, has been in tech forever for his life, and then so his older kid has got some special learning needs. So and then he's kind of been exploring so many different apps. It's called AAC. Is that right?
Yeah, augmentative and alternative communication apps, yes.
Yeah, so you've been exploring a lot of that in the market, but they're very expensive and they kind of it's not customized to the level that you want it to be. So obviously, as someone in tech, instead of buying stuff off the shelf, you just build your own, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, tell us more about yeah the app that well maybe the need
yeah,
first, and
yes.
then how the app is addressing the need and yeah how do you find it in practice?
Yeah. Okay, all right. So first off, to give background to everyone out there, right? So Andriel, he has a speech delay. And what that means is that um so he's not mute, right? Like so what that means is that he's capable of speaking, but he is struggling to speak, right? Um and that's why there are many speech problems in the world, right? Like, stuttering is one, selective mutism is another. You have a lot of different stuff like echolalia is another thing. So, again, I'm not an expert in that field and I'm not claiming to be, but I'm very, because of the experience with Angela, I have a lot of knowledge in this particular area or topic, right? Now, for Angel, because he goes through a speech therapy once a week to kind of like build up that speech, right? And again, just want to clarify that speech is different from communication. So because you can communicate to someone even without speech, right? So we can text each other through SMS. We can, like seeing the traffic lights is a form of communication, right? So it's not really telling you, hey, stop. It's like showing the red light in traffic light, yeah, right? So that's communication, meaning you're trying to communicate or convey an idea or message, right? So now for Angel, he can communicate with us in ways that I need to go toilet, so he would say to. So like the word to, like the first syllable is kind of like clear enough to say he wants to go toilet. Then he accompanies it with a gesture of like holding, his lower part, saying I need to go toilet, right? And then he's capable of saying more by just saying more with a gesture as well, and saying finish with ish 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 ish. So that's why communication wise, for the most part, that's achievable for him. And not to mention his receptive skills, meaning is he capable of listening from what you're saying? His receptive skills is very good. Meaning, if you say back away, if you say come with me, Andrea, go here, Andrea, let's go for jump in the trampoline. He would understand that, right? Now the problem or the challenge for Andrea is the expressive side, like from him trying to express something, right? And this is where that communication becomes really a struggle because things like he would say eat, but what do you want to eat, right? Like because he's not capable of saying certain words, like let's say it's a proper noun, let's say Weet-Bix, like for his capability at the moment, he's not capable of saying Weet-Bix, right? He's not capable of saying um, Biscoff, those things, right? So that's why an AAC is kind of like a good method to accompany the whole way of communication, right? That he can gesture, he can say certain syllables or words, but at the same time, an AAC can kind of like help with that as well. Um, However, the challenge with AAC that I've seen is that they're more targeted for those who are not capable of speaking at all. Like for good reasons, right? Like again for mute people or for people who was able to speak back then lost their capability to speak. So AACs are really good for that, right? Um, but for people like Andrea, who's kind of like delayed but capable. And if you go extreme to like forcing him to say, don't use anything, just use the iPad to communicate, it's not gonna work, right? Like it's like forcing him to like abandon every form of communication and just stick to one, which is again not gonna work. So that's why the
So,
objective, yeah,
so that just want to clarify a few things. So, AAC is not just it's not so much of a learning. app. This is
Yes,
an app that will help the user to actually communicate with
correct.
other people.
Yes.
And you did mention that there's a famous person that's kind of using this.
Yeah. For example, like Stephen Hawking, right? Like, yeah, he's a famous scientist who passed away already, but he's sitting on his wheelchair and then he's not capable of speaking. So his AAC device is that his eye, I think his eyes kind of like tracks as the kind of like way to choose the words and like form a sentence out of it, and then a robot voice would be able to speak on his behalf, right? So that's a form of AAC, right? Um,
I see.
right? And then now we have a couple of apps out there wherein like instead of like looking at them, you have like grids, which would allow you to say, I want milk, right? You have to press I and then want milk, then that forms the sentence, right?
So you're saying that's for people who cannot speak at all. Like most of those apps are for people who
Yeah,
just can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? They're more targeted for those who are really, not capable of speaking even the slightest words. Now, again, that's where it's not working well with Andriel because like he can communicate somehow with different methods, but we just need an accompany, like an extension,
Yep.
right? So and that's where I'm going now with this custom app that I'm building for him, right? Like for someone like Andriel who's like capable of saying eat, or he was able to he can say a certain context, or you're in a certain activity. It's just a matter of which of these, right? It's more like vocabulary building, right? It's more like, do you want a banana? Do you want an apple? Right? Do you want to play with ball, or do you want to play with sticks? Right? Like, it's more around that, right? Like, it's like you create a context of that activity, and then from that activity, you now choose certain vocabularies or choices that because you can't communicate well with that, but you can show the intent that you want that activity, but you can extend it to what particular one do you want to do, right?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a whole um, world of challenges. Just from design to coding.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's why it's not gonna work for me to just tell the app developers of these AAC apps like, hey, can you create this module or feature for me that only does this? Uh, yeah, exactly. That's why I had to build my own.
Oh wow. Can't wait to see it.
All right. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. So this is obviously very, very alpha, not even beta at this point, right? It's so alpha. You would see all the code, still have my VS Code and everything. And this is like the simulator, right? Um, this is meant, at least for now, targeted for like iPads or tablet devices. Um, so here, the most important part here is the idea of having a activity or context. So like here, if you hold it, you would be able to say add as many activities as you want, right? Like let's say, want to talk more about food, or do you want to do, let's say, toys, right? And then you have an option of like, I haven't just finished this, but it's like, how many grid items do you need for this one, right? So, but let's say for toys, so you have a separate context that's just for toys. So everything here is about toys, right? So let's say, um, just for example, right? Like let's say here I'm gonna generate an image. Let's say a basketball. I'll make it cartoonish, right? And then this is using Gen AI at the moment with DALL-E. It could actually kind of like generate that image for you. But what I would do in real life is actually use this to capture an image in the picture and just save it in the device. Right, so
Hmm.
there you go, right? So you got that basketball in there. So you can add as many as possible, right? And
Yep.
then the idea is for Andriel to, like when we're in that context of toys, like I'm gonna ask him, what toy do you want? Or do you want to play? So on and so forth. Then out of these many toys out there, we can be more objective and like say, oh, he's gonna press this. I'm not sure if it's gonna turn on the sounds. Basketball. Yeah, but there's also a speech component of this, right? Like say like the tablet would say the actual with actual word in here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then you can choose different voice, and in the future my plan is to add Andriel's voice in here to
Yeah.
kind of like say basketball, like it's as if it's Andriel, and then that's gonna help him with the vocabulary aspect until a certain
Uh,
time that he can actually say the word basketball, right?
yep, yep.
Yeah. So
So it's yeah, I think that that voice idea is really good because from someone who's listening to him, it will be more of a continuation of what he's saying. So it's like in the food scenario will be eat and then point something. Could be banana, could be like a steak or
yeah, exactly.
something like
Yeah,
that. Right? So
exactly. Yeah. So there you go. It's very simple, right? But yeah, again, I'm just gonna use this for the time being. Right?
it's
Um,
not simple. I
yeah, it's not for
definitely
food.
don't think it's simple.
Sorry, it's not simple, but what I meant is that it's meant to be simple, or like it's meant
All
to
right.
be kind of like the user experience for Andriel, and
Yes.
people who are in the same needs, I hope would be very simple for them, right? That all they have to do really is press the button, flowers, right? And then this can be extended as well later on. Like, I mean, you're trying to communicate certain scenarios wherein like, oh, we're going to the dentist and this is what the dentist looks like. And then yeah, it just visually shows them, uh, like this is where you're going, this is where we're going, this is what you'll be experiencing. We're gonna
Mm,
see a horse, and this is what a horse looks like, yeah, and so on and so forth, right? So
yep.
yeah,
Yep.
again, this is kind of like that specific app for Android.
Right.
And yeah,
His companion, so he would take the iPad with him, and he will play around with it, so he can still speak certain part of the sentence, and then he will also click the iPad at the same time.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right. And things like like for example, in a dinner setting, we'll change the activity to something like dinner. So things like I want water, or I want more. What more do you want? Do you want more rice? You want more veggies? You want more chicken or something, right? So it really just helps you with that experience
Yeah,
overall. Yeah.
I see where you're coming from about the current AAC apps out there. You will just purely rely on the device, and you don't want that because you don't want Android to actually lose that
Yeah.
capability of like just purely relying on the app to click things. You still want him to be able to because he can, right? It's not like he can't. So you still want him to actually use the app, but hopefully will actually help him to learn, like build up his vocabulary over time.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it becomes like a companion in a
Yeah.
sense, and will help him to express himself, but also help him to learn at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for example, with Archie, right? Like we just have to show the actual thing and tell him this is BlackBerry, and he literally just said the word BlackBerry yesterday, right? Like three syllables, BlackBerry. But for Andriel, right? Like if you show the BlackBerry image to him and you say, Andriel, this is BlackBerry, he would register that thought in his head that that's BlackBerry, but he's not gonna, echo you and say BlackBerry, right?
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's why.
it's interesting in a sense that we just take when everything is normal, we just take things for granted, right? Like this thing is easy, like everybody know how to repeat after the other person, but it's often when something is not working and you have to dive deeper and then you start to kind of figure out, like you mentioned earlier in the video, that there's so many different part of this. This one is being receptive, like understanding what he or she have heard, but
Mhm.
then Andrew in this case have a problem with expressing himself, and it's also very specific type of expression as well. It's more to do with the actual vocabulary
Yeah,
side of it. So you have to kind of break it down into like, okay, what's his kind of like the pain point, and yeah, and but the amazing thing is you have the ability to build an app. I don't think
mm,
many other parents will be able to actually do this. And the app itself, you utilizing like Gen AI functionalities to kind of, I guess, instead of having to manually do all sort of things, you can actually use like text to
yeah,
image
yeah,
generation, and
exactly.
then
And then I've kind of like showed this to other parents as well, who are going through the therapy sessions, right, for the kids. And one of the challenge that they also have is like, explaining to the kids that, oh, let's say the name is Ethan. Ethan, we're going to attend your cousin's birthday party, and this is what to expect, right? Like, and how can you kind of like express that concept or thought to a person, right? And that particular one for Ethan, that that's where Gen AI could really help in. Right? Like, what if let's put Ethan in a picture in a birthday party sense, right? And then, yeah, obviously, if you know Photoshop, you can do that as well. But not everyone can do Photoshop, right? And then, yeah, that's where it
Or
really
even
becomes
even
handy.
if Photoshop, it's gonna take time to get him into that image, and but with Gen AI, I guess it's a lot simpler.
Yeah,
We've all seen the guy Will Smith eating spaghetti video, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. So just imagine you going to a party and everyone's wiggling around.
Don't want to scare him.
Mm, yeah. But yeah, like I
Interesting.
think this is one way to kind of like use technology to really help the real world, and like in this case for my son, right? To kind of like make a better I guess safe like inclusive place for him, right? In this scenario, right?
And you mentioned before that you felt Andrew really is really lucky in a sense that he's someone with his condition is he's born in Australia in the current era, and I think I will add that having US
Yeah,
there
yeah,
that be able to actually do this stuff for him to kind of just not because it's very easy for parents to limit what the kid can and cannot do,
mm,
and also be overprotective uh, and not allowing them to explore certain things. That's probably a very like just human nature. It's you want to protect someone,
yeah,
like especially when it's your own kid, and it's very easy to actually get into those behavior, which may or may not be the best for the kids. So, but yeah, I think in this case, you definitely trying to find a way to actually empower him and help him to be more self-sufficient and
yeah, yeah.
express and then address the
Absolutely right. And
yeah.
again, I don't want to go to some of the dark stories out there, but there were dark stories, right? Out there, you know. And again, and I'm just very fortunate for him that he lives at this time, at this age. Yeah, he in a way that on its own is lucky for him. And in a way, I'm very fortunate that he's in the right environment. Right?
Well, yes, amazing. I think this will keep you busy for for a while as well
Yeah,
because it will
the app.
probably
Well, we'll see, right? I don't know if I'm planning to launch this as an app really for the world. I don't know. But at the moment, I'm just using this for Andrew. It's installed in his iPad that it's currently with him at the moment at school. So, um, yeah, and I'm kind of like coordinating with his educators and therapies as well. That I wanna leverage this kind of like extension of AAC with them so that later on we'll do something like let's say it's a school activity and it's like school math and or school English or school science, right? And then things are much more contextual for Andrew and for the educator and for the therapist as well, right? Um, because in reality, that's really it, right? Like it's never gonna be one same generic for everything. It's always just needs, what we're learning from AI as well, right? If you don't have context, it's gonna hallucinate. So that's why we need to narrow down the context as much as possible.
and I do get the feeling that well some of the more advanced technology we have these days, or maybe some of the like not too distant future technology might really help him to capture that context, right? Instead of having to manually do certain things, there are ways to like translate the current environment he's sitting in into words, and then give large language model the capability to understand. Okay, well, this is the context, rather than he having to click certain things, and there might be like glasses, there might be
Like
other
maybe neurons as well, right? Like just at least trying to communicate.
yes next level
Um, yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's why we're here, man. Like we're here to see where that technology is going and how this affects day-to-day lives of parents and children.
Yeah, yeah. I think um, if we kind of just broaden it up a little bit.
So writing is separate, is different from penmanship. So penmanship is how legible you write, and writing is really a form of expressing thoughts in written text, right? So I guess for Martin, there's no problem with penmanship, right? It's more around like the intent of really putting your ideas into a text.
Right. What's the term again?
Penmanship.
Penmanship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something new for me as well.
Yeah, so I learned that as
Yeah.
well for Angelo because like he also refused to write right at the moment, right? Like he can, he's capable. Again, same problem, right? He's capable of holding the pen, putting it up, putting it that, doing a cross, doing a circle, but he it's not in his interest at the moment or motivation to write the letter A or letter B, right? So that's a penmanship
Mm,
problem, right? Now
right.
the writing problem could obviously be expressed to something like this, an AAC device, or the actual texting of words, and so on, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's another thing we can probably
Yeah,
dive into in a future video as
yeah,
well. But what you've shown so far, I think it's really amazing. And yeah, it's just the willingness, the like you're motivated to actually spend the time to build something that yeah your son will actually use, and he will
yeah,
actually maybe actually rely on it in the future. I think that's beautiful in a way. Yeah. So this is our first learning that kind of video talking about Andrew and the app that you've built for him. So I actually find it difficult, and I'm sure it will be even harder for you, um, uh, maybe.
subjective,
Um,
right? Again,
so
subjective.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Again, I'm
that,
telling you,
that's
man, it's just a different configuration, man. Like again, still different business domain, right? Whether you're using Excel or I'm using a custom software, if whatever the situation is, problem is still problem, right? Like challenge is
yep.
still challenge. Yeah.
Mm. Well, definitely appreciate it. And yeah, we'll uh, yeah, I'm a little bit lost for where it's been a bit
Well,
of a heavy topic, surprisingly. And but yeah, again, thank you, and all the very best with the app development side of things. Definitely hope that he will benefit, and hope in one of the future video you will continue to show the progress
yeah,
of the app and Andrew's learning experience in this space as well. So
yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
probably yeah. And on this note, if you like our content, please subscribe, share.
Yeah, tell us in the comments like what do you want us to talk about, right? That would really help. Yeah,
Cool. Awesome. Thanks,
awesome.
everyone.
Right, thank you. Bye.